to 10 places, including a walking tour of Georgetown. Go to the botanical gardens and see the birds. Go to Surama, go to Iwakrama, go to Arrow Point, go to Kaichor. I know there's a group going to Kaichor tomorrow. There is a group going to Arrow Point tomorrow. But I really want to reinforce the importance. And when you go, take somebody else with you. Don't fuss over the 100 or 200 US dollars that it is going to cost you to go and learn about your own country. Because many of us spend more than that to go to Niagara Falls, to go to other places that we enjoy, but we fuss and fume and complain about 100 or 200 US dollars to learn the value and know our own country. The beauty of Guyana is not on the coast. It is in the out there's. Next speaker.
Absolutely, Vice Chancellor, and I am a convert. I have had a spiritual experience yesterday. For the first time, going to the Kaichor, and nothing, not even my husband's very heartfelt concern would have kept me from this compulsion that I had to visit Guyana. A few years ago, I returned home after leaving here at age 15, and I began to make inquiries. My brother stayed in Guyana, and so they anchored me. I didn't have certain overheads that diasporans probably would experience, so that I eat for free, and I drive for free, and I live for free, and I'm able to do certain things. I visited the then Vice Chancellor of the university, and we had conversation, and I visited NSERD. I went around Guyana, and I did my research to every entity that had to do with education. I felt convinced at that point that in spite of my Michigan, California, North Carolina bases, that Guyana was the place to be. And I virtually returned home, but for supporting my daughter's graduate studies. I say this to say to Rose, take hope, because as of February, I interacted with the Ministry of Education and completed 2 consultancies. One of them was the preparation of an integrated curriculum in literacy, numeracy, and parenting. I'd like to submit this to the Vice Chancellor for printing or publishing by the press, because I've submitted it to the Ministry of Education. Our priority population were Sophia, 2 sites, Sophia and Angois Avenue in New Amsterdam. Now, they have similar characteristics, and our target population were teenage parents, pregnant or parenting, because you don't have to be a parent having born children, but you have siblings that depend on you. And they were in conflict with the law. They were school dropouts. They were, when we did the first intake, they were at the kindergarten level of literacy. These are Guyanese with 3 children and their level. So I had to go back to the drawing board after the first assessment and prepare. That's why I named it Kinder Plus, because I will take you through this curriculum from your kindergarten level to anything beyond. I think if we take you 2 steps beyond, Guyana benefits from that. My research also informed me that there are 11% of Guyanese without birth certificates. Yes. Without birth certificates. I have visited every region, almost, maybe 3 regions I have not yet done. Went to St. Ignatius, spoke with the chiefs there, the Tushao, etc., etc. So, yes, I went also to the Vice Chancellor Griffith, led a team, and I thought I may have been a little audacious to approach him, trying to convince him of the leadership role that the university should play in educating the least of these. And he said to me across the table, here, come to this. That was my invitation to this conference. Vice Chancellor, thank you not only for the invitation, but I am convinced that you already know the role a university plays in a country. It is by the university that we, anyone, can look at Guyana and see where Guyana is. It is by your work, sir, both illustrated this week, as well as what I know that you do, that we will have a future. And so, with reference to UWI's open education, I'd like to suggest that even for the diaspora, that you provide us with podcasts that have to do with forestry and oil and the changes and anything you want us to know. Just put it on there. We are up at 2 a.m. with our laptops doing a lot of things, and we can learn. You can bring us along so that that school is not only a high school, but a school for the diaspora, where you will engage us, even if we have to pay something online, PayPal or whatever.
Oh, you'll have to pay that.
But please, let us, when next we meet, let us show some progress in our learning with all of the topics that you have so well presented this week. Thank you so much.
Great. So we're going to have to have the final five. Final five. And those who don't make the final five are wonderfully going to be engaging in small group conversation. I'm going to take Dean Bernard first, Dr. Kenny Thomas second, ERA, Dr. Canterbury third.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to speak to one major thing, but before I get there, I wanted to just say that in terms of entry to UG, there is a provision for students that are categorized as mature. Without CXC, there's an entrance exam that exists that they can write and actually get access to UG. The main thing I wanted to just speak to, recently at our last appointments committee, I volunteered to draft up a proposal for the appointment of adjunct faculties. Currently, UG employs part-time persons to fill the teaching gaps. And so we were looking at moving from just engaging part-time persons on a course-by-course basis to the appointment of adjunct faculties. The proposal is complete and is in review by the small team, and I wanted to take the opportunity now to sort of put it out there that part of what it says is that an adjunct faculty does not necessarily have to be resident in Guyana. So the idea is to appoint this adjunct, and then we will do service as they do. So I think it's something that in the diaspora maybe definitely be able to link it and give some service to UG.
We have already begun to identify a number of adjunct Guyana diaspora and non-Guyana diaspora for the School of Entrepreneurship and Business Innovation. As a matter of fact, Dr. Keith Nurse, who was here, left yesterday, is among the adjunct faculty we'll be bringing on board for the School of Entrepreneurship. Dr. Kelly Thomas, and then we'll go to Ms. Murray, and then Dr. Dan Paul.
No, I would like to commend the VC for his leadership and bringing us all together. I've been coming back and forth in a number of activities with teacher workshops. I've come back in with my wife with medical missions to do healthcare, and now I'm coming back to make sure that I can lend my experience and expertise to UG. But the essence of putting all that stuff together is this Diaspora conference that we've just had the opportunity, because now I feel as if I can get some help. Collectively, we can do a lot. Even though we can make individual contributions to several of the things that are happening here in Guyana, I think we can make a greater contribution if we do that collectively. Thanks for your presence, and hopefully we can continue the dialogue, we can continue the discussion, but I think you gotta put your money where your mouth is with your money and your time and effort. Thank you.
Wonderful. As the ERAs in this room have heard me say, as we said last year at the first ERA conference, Motar and guitar, two different tars. We want more guitar than Motar.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. I have sat through an amazing conference, and I heard a variety of ideas being presented as to what the diaspora could be engaged in. What I would have loved to see, and I don't think that it's not possible right now, is a list of agreed activities and projects for the diaspora to be engaged in going forward, possibly in ranked terms, what they want to do first. And I would want to believe that this could form part of the strategic and action plan for the Diaspora Engagement Center soon to be established. Thank you.
Indeed, that is part of that is the intent. Dr. Dan Paul Narayan, and then we'll take Dr. Sandra, and then Dr. Dan Paul. Dan Paul will be the final speaker until I turn to this side.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandra Canterbury, lifelong mathematics educator. I've been here, and again, just like so many in the room, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Griffith for his vision. I've supported it as an ERA last year, and though I've had to jump many obstacles to get here, I really wanted to come back, number one, to see what progress has been made as of our conference last year, and I know that things take time, and only so much can be done in 1 year. I see the connection, of course, between ERA and what this conference has to offer. In my conversations with quite a few people in terms of education, and several have mentioned the importance and the value of educating our youths, I have been told that in terms of math, the success rate has fallen. This year it has not been as previous. And it is my understanding that the difficulties lay not necessarily at the higher grades because, well, for many reasons. One being that those students who are preparing for the CXC have at their disposal past exam papers which they can use to review. However, at the lower grades, I understand that kids are not doing that well. So my question is, what is projected to be done to ensure that those kids from a younger age, not just to prepare for an exam, where it's mostly rote and memorization, what is done? I was, I guess, by the market yesterday waiting on someone, and I observed the child. I guess she's about maybe 10 years old. And as I sat there for quite a while, all she was doing was on a cell phone playing games. And I think that that's what I've seen for so many situations. So I would like to suggest somehow along the way what I envision to a math academy, where the kids, particularly during the summer, are engaged. I would be willing to do my part in facilitating that, where they could learn the concept of math, not just how to do math, because these days it's not just calculations. The foundation is actually understanding why things work and how math is connected to not all of the other subject areas necessarily, but to their lives in general. And so that, for example, I know that Dr. Narayan and I, and several of us, alumni members from St. Rose's, when we met, was doing a feasibility study in all of the regions, in every school, to see what the level was, what the requirements were, what the deficiencies were, so that he can move forward with trying to find ways of improving math education in Guyana. So again, the connection with the youth, beginning at an earlier age, not just preparation for an exam, but continuously providing some means by which those kids are taught conceptually, using their hands-on, using eye-hand coordination, not just paper and pencil, because that's okay, that's in the past. And I think with more instruction, with conceptualization of math, a stronger foundation will be built so that those kids getting to the higher level can succeed, and math education in Guyana can continue to improve rather than decline. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dr. Paul.
Thank you very much. Good morning. When we met here last Sunday, we all gathered in this room. If we didn't speak another word, this conference would have still have been an unqualified success. The reason being that all of us came from various parts of the world, and we met here to exchange ideas, and to date, this has been the most tremendous conference one can ever imagine. Now, why has this been the case? Because what the politicians have not been able to do for many years, Professor Griffith did. We got people from various parts of the world, different ideologies, different complexions, races, to meet at a single point to discuss how we can all benefit and better dear and beautiful Guyana. And yesterday, I took my son to Bartica, Fort Island, Saxakali, and these various places. Now, he was born in New York City, loves America, but calls himself Guyanese.
He's a total Guyanese, yes.
100%. Now, and herein lies the first challenge, that there are over 200,000 children in New York, especially in the Queens area where I'm from, who were born in there, have never been to Guyana, but they call themselves Guyanese. We have to get them involved in Guyana. So when I get back there, one of the challenges for me is to convince the parents as well as many of those children to be very active in this country, to help to rebuild this country with all their skills. And there's so many skills they have: science, technology, education, you name it. Bernard knows them all. So we're going to bring them here on a continual basis so we can exchange ideas. Georgia, I know you're here. And get this whole thing worked out. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is this word diaspora. And you know, one of my pet projects is to try to limit the use of the term, because a lot of people don't understand what it means, and it implies them versus us sort of thing. So I've said we should have persons of Guyanese origin as the one that would be a substitute, the PGOs. India has PIOs and all of these other stuff. So persons of Guyanese origin is the term I will use in my writings and other things as well. And lastly, we should not be afraid to learn from other experiences. Haiti, for example, has a ministry of Haitians abroad, and it's working very well. Guyanese volunteer in Haiti as medical doctors, as teachers. When they apply, they know where to apply to go to Haiti. There is a body, there is a system in Haiti that accommodates these voluntary services. I met a doctor yesterday when we were going to Bartica. Her parents is from Skeldon, and she's a doctor of infectious diseases, and she's volunteering in Haiti. So I said, wait a minute, can you now please volunteer in Guyana? And she says, well, who am I going to write to? Where's a system that will accommodate these skills of mine if I come here? That is a challenge. We have to have a system, and I know, as I said, it should not only be a diaspora policy, it should be a diaspora synergy, which encompasses everything about the diaspora, persons of Guyanese origin, to come here and would want to contribute. Right now, I met a doctor last week in New York. He's going to finish off. And he said to me that there are 25 doctors at UE who are finishing off their medical studies, paid for by themselves, not any scholarship. And they now want to come back and serve this country. 13 of them wrote to the ministry asking permission to come, where you're going to place us, with a lot of stuff, and have not had a reply. So what are they going to do? They're going to go elsewhere. And my friend is going to go to the UK. So the UK is going to benefit from his skills. 25 doctors. We're losing out right there. So we have to have a policy whereby we can accommodate the skills of this country, both in a voluntary and non-voluntary basis. If we want this diaspora, this persons of Guyanese origin program to work. And I'm going to try to do my best to help the Vice Chancellor. You all should do the same, all of us should do the same thing to make it work. So once more, Vice Chancellor, thank you. You're a great role model, you're an inspiration, you're the inclusion with every person, you see race, religion, you look beyond that. And that's the kind of person we need to run the University of Guyana, to run this entire program. And may I dare say finally that Professor Griffith, Vice Chancellor, for President.
Not do that, Paul. If you want to rent my project at UG, say that. I have no interest in anything. If that word is only mentioned in my home, I can have a divorce. I want to keep the 33 years of marriage. I want to keep it going strong. I want to thank everyone who has spoken so far and really turn to this side, this table. And Alison Fung is sitting here, but she's really on that side. So she's going to speak first. And then we'll come to Wazir and Alison.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. I am the third member of the UWI delegation here, but also proud Guyanese. I too add my congratulations to Vice Chancellor Griffith. This has been long in coming, and I'm delighted that you've taken the initiative. One, I think our presence here means that we're committed to our country and to seeing it advance. I've loved all the ideas that have come forward. A math academy on a summer would be so much fun. Math is fun. I like math. I don't understand what the challenge is with math these days. But I just like to see Vice Chancellor knows that he can call me. The fact that we're signing a memo this morning, so there's some discussion there. But we all need to commit, individually and collectively. We can help in our little ways. I'm also the president of the Jamaica chapter of the Bishop's High School Alumni Association. We have remained in contact with our school. So through those ways, the hometown associations, I was fascinated to hear from my friend here that there was a concept, I didn't even know about that. But we do it in our individual little ways, collectively as families, as groups. But I think, Vice Chancellor, I think everybody here can commit to you our ongoing support. So congratulations, and fellow Guyanese, non-Guyanese. Let's see.
Thank you, Robert. On the reference to non-Guyanese, let me take the opportunity to welcome and introduce a non-Guyanese who is here for the investiture. My friend from way back, Professor Ophelia Weeks from the University of Liberia. Also arriving yesterday was one of our ERAs, Philip Smith from New Jersey. Welcome, Philip. So let's go to Dr. Wazir Mohammed. For the colleagues who were not here 2 days ago, it was felt that there had been so much energy and interest in moving on some specific that I asked Wazir Mohammed, a Guyanese right now in Indiana who will be returning to Guyana to work with us, and Alison Skeet, one of our ERAs in New Jersey, to take the lead in identifying some topics for conversation. We have had a modification of the plan, and Wazir recommended, and I agreed, that we should spend some time here listening, at least hearing what the proposal for the topics and anything else they have in mind, what those are. So, welcome Wazir, welcome Alison.
I would like to thank you, VC, for giving us this opportunity to address these issues. I want to, before we get into the 10 points that we have come up with, I want to say that we have to recognize, I've heard the talk here about putting money on the line. I would like to say that we need to put our bodies on the line. Because bodies Guyana needs, every community that we've come from, need our skills and our experience. And so we need to put our bodies on the line. I came back in January and I've put my body on the line for the last several months and was happy to be associated with the Ministry of Education and also the University of Guyana. We have to dispel this notion that there are Guyanese and then there are us. We have more Guyanese living outside of Guyana than Guyanese living in Guyana. And we have to recognize that. Second thing we have to recognize is that migration is a global reality. It's not only about Guyanese leaving Guyana. People leave the rural communities in every part of the world and migrate to the towns. Rural to urban migration is what is happening all across this world. And so we have to dispel these things. And I agree that we need policies that address the question of how we bring back our skills. Because what we need are the skills that the country cannot pay for. And we have those skills. And we need to bring those skills back to bear in order for the country to develop. Now the points that we have put up for discussion, we would like engagement on these points publicly. Because what we need is an engagement, a discourse, which is between those of us at home and those of us abroad and those of us in between home and abroad, so that we can flesh out these things that we need to do. We have come up with 10 areas, but we should not be limited to these 10 areas. So I will hand you over now to Alison.
Thank you. I didn't realize that you were the person who made him have us come up here. Okay. And then you tell me you wanted me to talk about it. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say something along the lines of what Colin mentioned. I am not a foreigner. I am not a comebackie. And I'm not a runaway. I did not leave Guyana by choice. My parents made that choice for me. So to call me a runaway, I take exception to that. I left here on my parents' passport, and before I leave here, I will be leaving with a Guyanese passport. I brought my husband with me, who seems to feel that he's cheating Jamaica, where he grew up, because he's so involved in the Guyanese community.
He knows what's good for him.
And we took a tour to Kaitoura yesterday, and it was absolutely amazing. Mrs. Hines talked about the spiritual awakening it was. I saw her go from screaming when one of the parties that were with us went and sat at the edge to actually taking about 10 pictures close to the edge herself. No, she wasn't thinking of committing suicide. Now, a number of the points that we came up with have already been addressed here, so it's great to see that there is such a commonality and such a comprehension of what has been expressed here by all of us. One of the first things we talked about, Ms. Jacobs, who was with us on the Kaitoura tour yesterday, talked about is the youth engagement. Now, when Wazir and I sat down to flesh these out, we happened to have the advantage of a non-Guyanese voice and a youth voice, his son. And as Dan Paul also talked about, more of our children are living outside of Guyana. There's also someone here who talked about an aspect of having our children's births recorded here so that it may give them an incentive to want to be more involved here. And that is something I am going to investigate, so we need to talk about that before he leaves, because he's had his children's birth registered here. If you give them incentive and a vested interest, they will be here. Wazir's son said that he has been involved because he's followed his dad around his whole life and believes what his dad believes and shares his vision for Guyana. But the thing he pointed out that was most of a problem to him was there weren't people who cared about what the young people of Guyanese origin may think or want to know about Guyana. He doesn't find people who care, and there's no interest as a result in many of the youth because there's no one who cares to share with them, there's no interest from them, and there's also no support, which is a common theme even among us as colleagues in getting our resources and our experience to be shared here. One of the things I heard mentioned was about, I think it was Dr. Thomas who talked about older folks or learning experiences or something like that. I'm not sure who said it. But one of the things that's being done in the US now is called generational daycare. They're taking elderly people who are often pushed aside in the States and pairing them with young people who may be in kindergarten or younger grades. And the cross-culture and cross-knowledge transfer is amazing because we have technology babies in the youngest of people now. I mean, my 7-year-old nephew can do things with my phone that I don't even understand. So that's an opportunity. We have a disparity in the ages here, as Dr. Griffith's statistics have shown. 49% of our of Guyana is now age 24 and under. So if we can pair the younger and the older generation, a knowledge transfer aspect is there to be tapped that can be utilized, which is not necessarily political or ethnically based. It's simply knowledge transfer that can help pull each other up and push forward some of the points we have. We heard about the lack of groups that are not represented here. That's another thing that came up. Indo and indigenous involvement. Now, we may have a reality of lack of response, but we cannot stop reaching out and including them because, as Dr. Thomas said, the indigenous peoples are extremely important to the history and the growth of what we need to go forward. We saw that in our guide yesterday. He was able to show us so many things. My husband he actually went and found a golden frog for my husband to take a photograph of. It's a minute little thing, but he didn't stop until he was able to show him, this is what you wanted to see. You know, it was really amazing to have that experience yesterday. Colin also mentioned about a university high school, a UG High. That's also on the program here, along with the model exchange and learning programs that were also mentioned. Partnering with UE, partnering with other schools. I know we have someone here from Liberia. We have someone here also who's back home for the first time in a long time from the University of Lagos in Nigeria, also interested in finding some way to partner with UG. So we need to explore strategic partnerships, exchange programs, not just for the students, but also for the teachers, the professors and the lecturers, so there's a greater communication and a greater understanding of what has to be done. We're one land of 6 peoples. Let's make that true with the university. We have telecommunications and IT that were mentioned. This talk about brain drain. After having an opportunity